What's your relationship with him like now?
He's a snake.
He was kind of calling Junior a disgrace.
He needs to be fixed a little bit before he can really comment about Chris.
He always says, like, I'm coming back.
That's what bipolar does, you know what I mean? They're corrupted, they should be sacked. They treat you like a slave. The Holyfield, the Tysons, and I'm ready to put my thing on the line, you know what I mean?
Is it decent stuff? That's what we need.
Hello and welcome to Clubhouse Boxing. I'm Charlotte Daly. I'm your host alongside Spencer Oliver. And today in the studio we have former WBC heavyweight world champion, a British boxing icon, and a man with an infectious laugh, Frank Bruno. How are you, Frank?
Very, very good, Charlotte. Mustn't grumble. Very, very good. Thank you.
Spence, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good. Really looking forward to this. You know, like you say, like growing up, Frank Bruno was the man and he's still the man today. So yeah, very good. I'm happy to be here.
Look, before we get started and talk about the boxing stuff, little birdie told me that it is your birthday coming up.
Oh my God, yeah.
Got some celebrations coming.
Yeah, definitely.
What are you going to be doing?
I'll probably go to Tesco's or Sainsbury's and see if I can get some cheap suits out there. You know what I mean?
You don't need to get another cake, mate, because you demolished the cake that they brought you in here earlier.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to show myself up here as a real fangirl, but I was reading some of your books before, and you said in it that you don't actually really drink much anymore, all because of an incident when you were about 8 years old. What happened?
I got drunk. The first time I ever got drunk was at 8 years old. You know what I mean? Me and my friends, we found the keg, we rolled it to his house, and we drank it. And when I drink, I just felt sick. And you know what I mean? When you're sick and it comes through your teeth and whatever, and I just took another drink. I do Guinness now and again, but that's about all, you know? Yeah.
Honestly, with alcohol, I think we've all been there where you've had one of those nights and it's just, that's it, it's put you off it for life.
Yeah.
There's also, talking of partying, look, we've been talking for 3 minutes now already and I'm going off on a tangent here, but talking of partying, you've got to tell Spencer that story of you going to Colombia after your eye surgery and being invited to that party. What on earth happened?
I don't know, you know, I mean, at the time, I was looking for some green and I had the operation, I wasn't supposed to get off the bed, so I went looking to go and see if I could get some Bob Marley. But these people that I met at the airport, they said, come around my house. And I wasn't even supposed to get out of bed, let alone go to his house. So I went around his house and they were passing this tray around. And they passed it to me. I said, no. And they looked at me kind of strange. So all of them looked at me. And then one of them came up to me, brushed me down and looked at my book what I had, what I'm going to be champion at a certain time or whatever, and it was very odd, you know, because I looked to get their tray, but yeah, they're still sending letters now. your Colombian friends.
Wow, well,
powerful people though, you know what I mean? I didn't know what was happening. All I knew that the tray was around. When the tray come my way, I said no, and no, this is a good thing.
Right, you must look back on that now and think that was a lucky escape. That was a narrow escape.
Because they said to me that next time I'm in Colombia, come to their house and you can put your suitcase. And if I did do that, they put all different drugs in my suitcase. Get me arrested.
Oh, brilliant.
Strange.
Look, you're obviously another year older, another year wiser.
Right.
But you scared us last year. You had a health issue on that flight.
I swear to God, I don't know. You know what I mean? I never had that in my life before. You know what I mean? When somebody gives you something to eat or give you a tablet or whatever, I was gone. You know what I mean? On the plane, I didn't know where I was, what I was doing or whatever. You know what I mean? It was scary.
So you don't know the diagnosis now, Frank?
It sounds like someone spiked me.
Really?
You know when someone spikes someone and they're just gone? I was gone. I didn't know what I was doing.
You got to be mentally prepared for that.
Yeah, I wasn't mentally prepared for that, man. But no, seriously, it was scary stuff, you know? Very, very scary.
All right, though, made the recovery?
Huh?
You're right
yeah, recovery. Yeah, I was in hospital for 2 weeks there, and I come back and they put me in one of them funny hotels, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's a scary time, Frank, isn't it? It's a scary time. Then,
a very, very scary time. I didn't know what was happening. All I knew that, you know, I was fighting with the police, taking my clothes off and doing all different stupid stuff.
What was the first thing you remembered when you woke up, when you came around?
First thing I remembered that I just couldn't, George was telling, not George, Thingy was telling me that I was doing this and I was doing that, but I couldn't really, I just didn't know it weren't me. because it was scary.
So what, they section you for a couple of weeks, you say?
Yeah,
What-
not section me. They advised me to come there
Right.
and calm down for 2 weeks. I didn't get sectioned.
Right. So what was that experience like though? That must have been weird, man.
It's weird, and my scariest experience, because my mum always said, be careful when you go around someone's house and, you know what I mean, they're dropping something in your tea or your whatever, and, you know, that happens to me.
You wouldn't expect that though on a flight, would you? Like, you hear these stories of out and about, even, you know, at bars and stuff, but getting on a flight of all places.
Scary. I didn't know. I was eating. It's like and you know what I mean, it's just come over hot and sweaty and horrible.
Yeah.
Like I'm the worst enemy.
But health-wise anyway, how are you doing now?
Yeah, very well. Training twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. Got myself a personal trainer, and I've got 3 bags at home, and you know what I mean, all the bits and pieces, and I'm quite happy.
Yeah, what does training look like for you these days?
Training, running, you know, doing a little bit of weights, stretching with the lady, and yeah, just bits and pieces every day, doing something at least 1 hour. Weight circuits, or 1 hour sprinting and running and all different bits and pieces. Just keep yourself looking after yourself.
Any sort of boxing or anything, Frank? Do you ever
Yeah, I
hit
hit
the bag?
Yeah, I've got 3 bags at home.
You know,
yeah.
there's an opportunity now for these. We've seen all these old fighters coming back out of retirement and whatnot. There's more money in it now than there was when you was boxing.
Definitely, man. You get tempted, but I don't think I'm a bit too old for that now.
Did you watch the Mike Tyson fight against Jake Paul? Him coming back?
No, I didn't watch it. It was cringy for me to watch it, to be honest, because sad. But you know what I mean. I thought, yeah, he made money and got £20 million and whatever. But it's sad when it happens. You know?
Do you think it's dangerous? Do you think that stuff should be allowed?
It can be dangerous if you get the guy who he fought weren't a professional boxer, really. You know what I mean. But if he fought someone smart and cute and whatever, he get done, because he's a nice guy, Mike Tyson. He's a horrible guy in the ring, but I think he mushrooms and marijuana and whatever. You know, Clinton's looked after him.
Do you know what? We went out there, Frank, to cover that fight, and
Yeah.
it was like the fantasy versus the reality, and the reality kicked in when you actually got there. Because when we're going out there, I'm going, Mike Tyson's gonna kick Jake Paul's ass. I don't care that he's 56 years of age.
Yeah.
I thought, like, it doesn't matter what condition he's in. If he's in 5% of his old self, he's gonna do it. When you got out there, and then Mike Tyson, the first time we went to the press conference, Mike got out the car, and he was limping, and he could barely walk up the stairs. I thought, actually, this is going to be quite sad to see. But Mike said himself, Frank, that it was the 20 million quid. He said, I never received that sort of money when I was boxing, so why wouldn't I do it now against this kid?
Yeah.
Would that tempt you, anything like that?
It would tempt me if I didn't see no danger in it. You know what I mean? It would definitely tempt me, because I love training. I'd love to go in the training camp for 2 months or 1 month or 3 months, you know what I mean, to get ready for something like that. With the money, what they're charging, I'm not mad. I think you would do the same, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Listen,
Yeah.
and also,
sign
Frank,
me up.
like training is like therapy for ex-fighters. That's where you're in your comfort zone.
Yeah,
isn't it? Like,
definitely.
Whenever I hit back in the gym or whatever, I go, like, for me, that's my therapy. That gets me through the day and keeps me on
Do you
everything
go to the
else.
gym sometimes?
Yeah, I enjoy the gym, mate. For that reason, like, you go for a run or whatever, and it releases those endorphins, and you feel good again. So if someone was dangling that carrot and going, there's 10 million quid there, mate, I think
I'd be a fool not to.
Also, numbers these days are just typically higher anyway. Since the Saudis have come in and injected cash into it, we're hearing fighters getting 100 million for things. Like, what do you make of the scene at the moment and the money that's being made and being thrown around?
It's the time of the century, and you know what I mean, the guys coming from Saudi Arabia helping the boxers all being well. You know what I mean? Because I think he wants them to fight like the heads hanging off their shoulders or whatever, because he goes that he invested a lot of money. He wants to see some good action now, real fight. But
I think he said
10 million, I'll give him a good fight.
He said against Deontay Wilder, one of his fights, he didn't perform very well, and Turkey said, you know, this isn't a charity. I'm paying for people to perform, so the pressure's on for them to put it on.
He said that, you know, he don't want no playing around now. He wants to see real fighting. One day he's got something when the fighters are fighting, he goes like that, and you wonder what he's thinking, like going like that. But he's a good guy though. Did you get a watch of him?
Yeah, no, I haven't had one yet.
No?
Yeah, anyway. Yeah.
Did you get a watch of him?
Yeah, I got this watch of him.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Well, there you go.
20 grand it costs.
Listen, I suppose that's being Frank Bruno, mate. But you know what, Frank? When you look at that, though, like the Saudis coming, getting involved, Riyadh season and all that, you go going back to my day, going back to your day, you know, when politics got in the way because of 60-40 splits and who was the champion, who was going to get the right, and fights never happened that should have materialised, and we missed them. But Turkey involved in that now, like, we are getting the best boxing, the best, and I think that for your boxing fan, it can only be a good thing, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, man.
From back in the day, though, I mean, you had the Don Kings, you had Frank Warren, even you had Eddie and Frank going against each other. There was no way that these guys were ever going to down tools and kind of work together. But now they're all friends. I mean, it must be so different for you seeing that they're all working together now.
It's friends when you're outside of the ring, but when the ding goes and whatever you got planned, when you're just training camp or whatever, you might think they're messing around and be gentle and whatever, but when they go in the ring, all they need to do is get one punch, and that's when they set them off to go and do some damage.
Well, talking about Saudi fights, we've got Ring Magazine card coming up, the rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn.
Yeah, right.
You were ringside for the first fight.
Yeah, I was.
What did you make of the fight?
It was a very tight fight, you know what I mean? And I think it should have been a draw, which it was, I think. But what's the name? Good fight.
Yeah, well, Chris won it in the end.
Do you think so, yeah?
Well, no, he did, as in the result went in his favour.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so what do you think that maybe Conor Benn would need to kind of improve on or change in the rematch?
I really don't know against Conor Benn, you know what I mean? But Eubank's... He's a good fighter, Eubank's son. Very, very good fighter. More better fighter than people give him credit for. And he's a workhorse. It seems like, I think he's getting better.
Do you know what, Frank? Like, obviously, you know, Conor Benn was coming up from welterweight up to middleweight to fight Chris Eubank. Chris Eubank was naturally the bigger, but he was sort of like draining down as well. He started struggling badly with the weight. He had the weight problems, didn't he?
Yeah.
What did you think about that whole situation, you know, when they were going in there, like, as tight as he was at the weight?
It's very dangerous, you know what I mean, for boxers. It happens to a lot of boxers when they try to diet, go for a sauna and lose the liquid weight or whatever. It's dangerous. It really is dangerous. Yeah. And what Eubanks... how many pounds was it did they have to lose?
Yeah, it was a lot of weight. I don't know, it was a lot of weight, but they had the rehydration clause in there as well. Yeah. The £10 rehydration clause, and I think that was a big problem as well, wasn't it? Because there was a lot of controversy surrounding that because of the £10 rehydration clause.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that they should, you know, put those sort of hydration clauses in?
I think so, for the beneficial of the fighter.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean?
Because Conor was a smaller guy, so, like, there's a lot of talk about Chris being stripped down at weight, but he's the guy that's always boxed at 160 pounds.
Right, yeah.
Conor was coming up from 147, so he had his disadvantages. So I suppose it balances itself out.
I hope it balances itself out to be a better fight than it was, but I don't see no publicity about it. Cheers flying all over the place or whatever.
Yeah.
I hope it sells out again.
Are you a fan of that, by the way? Like, you know, the selling of the fight, like, you know, you get this now, like you say, we haven't seen too much publicity surrounding this one building up, but are you a fan of the whole theatre that goes with it?
Yeah, it's nice to see, you know what I mean, build up. It's very odd that you see 20,000, 30,000, 100,000 of, you know what I mean, bums on seats.
Yeah, there was that egg slap that is just kind of going to live in memory now for that first fight of when Chris Eubank smashed an egg against Conor Benn's face.
Publicity, I think that was, yeah.
Anyone ever smashed an egg against your face, Frank?
Not really, I don't think so. I'm not that geeky.
Do you know what? Talking of eggs, the whole point of him doing that was because of the fact that Conor Benn had failed a drugs test when they originally wanted to put that fight on, and then things came out saying that it was a high number of eggs that led to the sample testing positive.
Yeah.
Do you think people that have tested positive in drugs tests should be given big opportunities like the stage that Eubank and Benn got for that fight? Do you think they should be allowed?
We've found the test just to tax them for something out of the wages, out of their wages, something out of their wages, you know what I mean? And make it fair and square there.
Did you ever experience fighting someone and they failed a test before?
I know some people who I fought. I'm not going to say the name, but yes, I do know some people that have definitely took drugs.
Yeah.
Like you know the strength of a human being when you go in the ring, and when someone comes in like a baboon, I've not seen a baboon, but you know, I mean, this guy was very, 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 very scary.
Yeah.
Did you know before you got into the ring?
I didn't
or
know,
only after?
but I had feelings that he would be doing something like that because he's a nice guy, but he's not right. You know what I mean? He's strong. When I mean strong, he's like, if a gorilla come in this room now, he had that sort of like feeling, you know what I mean? He just went, dangerous, and he got away with it.
Boxing's a dangerous sport, though. Putting something in your body like that could have detrimental outcome.
You got to be very, very careful what you say. You know what I mean? But America are kings for whatever they're doing. Holyfield, the Tysons, and whoever have taken some form of enhancing thing. I'm ready to put my thing on the line. You know what I mean? They have to do it the way their body shapes. You know.
And the, like you say, the extraordinary strength that you go, that's all. Like you go, where's that come from? How a human can't be that strong?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
I get it.
It was scary, man, and it was a big fight. Couldn't get no more bigger than that, and it was a last chuck at the dice. But you know, I was glad I did win. But he done me eye in the fight in the first round, detached it, and he was. I don't know if he was right mentally for that fight, but he was strong.
Yeah, yeah.
Another contentious point for the Eubank Benn stuff. I don't know if you've seen the video that Eubank's put out. He's been saying that afterwards he had to get into an ambulance, he had to go to hospital because of the dehydration, everything like that. He's been saying that his ambulance was blocked from leaving the stadium, and he's accusing Matchroom and Eddie Hearn of that. He released a video on social media of his ambulance being stopped.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, and what would you make of something like that happening?
I don't think so. You're saying that Barry Hearns have stopped the...
He's alleging that...
Legend, yeah.
Yeah,
Why would he do that, though? What would he gain out of that, Barry Hearns, or...
Nothing.
It sounds weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just one of those situations, like, it's the narrative that Chris is throwing out there. He's trying to say, look, we're in a football stadium. Eddie Hearn's not going to control, what's happening with the ambulances going in and out. I think there was just a lot of people there at the time. Chris is on that bed, lying there,
waiting
in his head, going, Eddie's done this, but realistically, it's down to the security at the stadium. They're in control of that passageway in and out of the stadium. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of mixed feelings around that.
Look, it was obviously a built-up fight because of the fathers, because of the legacy there and the fights that they had.
Chris came out at the right time, didn't he? At the end, and he's come out like God has come. Right.
What did you make of that, by the way?
I thought he was finding it hard, but I was sad to the boxer who needs to have a clear head. You don't need no spotted around with your dad acting like, coming out and the way he does it. You know what I mean? But eventually come out, and I was very happy to see his dad coming back in it.
What do you make of the build-up, though? Because obviously you've said there the fact that he just turned up on fight night. No one was expecting him there. But in the build-up, he was kind of calling Junior a disgrace, and he was bad-mouthing the fight, and he wasn't very supportive.
Right. He's still not right, Chris. He's not being funny. You can put it on record or whatever. He's not right at the moment. You know what I mean? His son died not too long, whatever, and he's had some breakdowns, you know what I mean? So I think he needs to be fixed a little bit before he can really comment about Chris. But the things that he's doing is dancing in the ring, like a Rasta man, you know what I mean? Like he means well, Chris, but I hope he gets better, and he's got the right people around him to level him out. Because I went to a dinner with him about 2 weeks ago, and he was not bad at all. But beforehand, he used to get up dancing in front of the man's making a speech, and he's dancing and taking the attraction away from him, But he's a nice guy. I'm not a fan of Chris. His heart's good.
Do you think a lot of that then stems from the death of Sebastian? Do you think that's where it kind of comes from?
It's hard to really, if you lost a son like that, you know what I mean? It's very hard to put anyone's shoe if they lost a son, a daughter of that age, it's scary.
Yeah. You know what, Frank? Well, I think that, like, you fall into that category, like yourself, Nigel Benn, you look at Eubank Jr, Michael Watson, you fall into that category of like British icons that are going to go down and be remembered for generation and generation. And the pressure of that must be immense. Like when your career's over and you're trying to find some sort of focus, some sort of direction, you go, because it's not about the money, because you've earned the money, but you go, what's the next buzz? Like, because you guys have boxed at the highest level, filling stadiums and all that. And then when that stadium is not there anymore, how do you fulfill that? And
George
I think that
Francis
could that have a part of it?
Yeah, George Francis said something to me, and I thought it was weird of him saying something to me. He goes, you will never know once you retire, you have to keep yourself busy, because you either go in the pub or get hooked up on certain different things and whatever. And I didn't understand what he said, but it hit me like a sledgehammer hit me,
it's that addictive personality, isn't it? Like because boxers are so regimental, and you're doing it from a young kid. We talked about, like, you know, I used to see you as a kid running over Hampstead Heath and all that sort of stuff, and you're doing it regimental every day. And when that's gone, and then the arena's not there anymore, and that noise is not there no more, and then all of a sudden, it's just a lonely space. And I think that it's difficult, isn't it?
Split up from the wife and all them different things. It's horrible, but at the end of the day, you just got to dust yourself down and get on with life. We're only here on borrowed time, aren't we?
Yeah, of course, but how difficult is that? Like, because that's character building, man. Like, you go there and you hit your lowest point, like you say, the boxing's gone. Yeah. You're divorced from your wife. You're having issues outside of the ring, and then you have to rebound from that. Yeah. That's testament to yourself. Like talking about yourself in this situation, you go to come back from that. That is character building on its own.
I just go to the gym every day. I've got a sauna, steamer, jacuzzi at home. But I make sure I run every single day. Sometimes I'm up at 3 o'clock at night and go for a good run, and get up in the morning and go for a stretch, use a steamer, and just look after yourself, you know? Invest in your happiness. That's the only thing I can. You can have as much money as you want, but you got to be happy.
Sure.
You got diagnosed with bipolar.
Bipolar, yeah.
Did that help kind of having a bit of an understanding of what it was? Because sometimes people say it's the not knowing, like, what's wrong with me, what's going on.
Sometimes when you go to the shop and you see a shirt there, you would buy 6 of the shirts. If you see a suit, you would buy 7 of the suits. If you see a shoes there, the bipolar just makes you hypey and about 100 miles an hour, you know what I mean? And if you got the money, you just buy up the shop. You know what I mean? And two crazy things when you get home, you just say, what the hell have I been up to? I go to the market, the Indian guys are selling wicked jeans and whatever. You get a baseball hat, get a tracksuit, you know what I mean? It's cheaper than the normal shop, but when you got bipolar, that's what you do. You don't buy one, you buy the whole shop if you can. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what bipolar is. It's a nutty thing because it makes you hyper. And yeah, seriously, it could be dangerous. It's very, very dangerous having bipolar, because it can cause you to a horrible thing.
It's like really high highs and really low lows.
Yeah, definitely no in between.
Can you like tell when you're going into a low? Like, how does it work for someone that hasn't experienced it? Yeah, what does it feel like?
You can get up in the morning and you don't feel too good. You feel lazy or whatever, but I don't mind getting up because I love getting up, but that's how it feels. You get up, you don't get up. You're high and you're low. You know what I mean? There's no go between.
So you can feel it yourself. Can people notice it when you're kind of taking the turn?
I think so sometimes. When you're energetic and you're walking up and you can't keep still. You know what I mean? You've got a lot of energy that it gives you.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, Tyson Fury has been diagnosed with bipolar as well, isn't he? And you go, like, do you think that he's been misjudged because of that? Like, people that are not knowing that he's had it, because certain people have judged him in certain ways, and that's down to the bipolar, and maybe people didn't know that.
I rate Tyson Fury. I think he's good for boxing, and he's a better fighter than a lot of people give him credit for.
Do you think we see him back in the ring, Frank?
Definitely.
Do you think it's against Joshua?
Definitely.
With that though, with Tyson, he always says, like, I'm coming back, and everyone gets really hyped up and they go, oh my God, Tyson's coming back. And then next week he changes his mind and he goes, I'm not coming back.
That's what bipolar does, you know what I mean, Tia? Listen, he's made a lot of money of recent years, and sometimes his wife has got to pull him back by the reins, because he wants this card, that card, this, and he's worked hard for it. But bipolar, man, if you don't get hold of it and pull it back, and whoa. It's a very, very, it's weird thing to have bipolar.
Talking of bipolar, Nigel Benn has also been diagnosed with bipolar.
Seriously?
Yeah, did that ever bring you guys closer? Because I know you have a good relationship with Nigel.
Yeah, friends. Nigel is a good guy, you know what I mean? But I never knew he had bipolar. But he's like a warrior, Nigel. If someone does something wrong, he'll go in there and have a go. And bipolar just made him, as long as he sees the right doctor to give him the right tablets, I think he should be all right. Yeah.
His son's got his sort of character, isn't he?
Because,
like, Conor's the same. Like, Conor's that fiery little thing, isn't he? Like, you don't really want to get on the wrong side of it. Like, because they snap very quickly.
Very, very
Do you think that's down to a diagnosis of the old man then? Yeah.
I mean, maybe. You know what I mean? Everybody tries to shy away from bipolar, but you can't shy away from it, because sometimes you can meet somebody and see a bipolar person come through the door, and you can see that if they're high up on whatever they are.
Yeah,
you know
sure.
Yeah.
Chris Eubank talked about his kind of bipolar and what was it, the Four Kings episodes that you guys did with Amazon? Yeah, he was talking about that, and he said that he actually revealed on that he got sectioned for it, and said that was kind of the best thing that happened to him because he got the help, he got medication. Do you see it in the same way, or does that part of your life you just hate?
The medication what they're giving me for the rest of my life, that's what they want to do that, but I've got to have to fight it to not have to take medicine or my tablets every day, monging you out and whatever, you know what I mean?
But how do you fight that, Frank? Like, what do you do to replace that or to...
I run every day, I train every day.
Is that what it is, training?
Three times a day I run.
Right.
You know, not killing myself, gently, and you know what I mean, just keep yourself in shape.
Just to release the endorphins, yeah.
Definitely. The nicest thing you can do when you've gone to the gym and you come out of the gym, you had a shower and you feel just wicked.
Yeah, get it.
You know?
Yeah, you said in your book about the fact that the second time you went in was almost like the worst time. It felt like, I think the quote was, you said you felt like they were never going to let you leave, and it was the end of your freedom.
It's a weird thing, and weird people there. I don't like them one bit. I wouldn't fly the flag for them because they treat me very, very rough. If they treat me very, very rough, what do you think they treat the patients?
What is rough? What does that mean?
Rough is being horrible to you, you know what I mean? Trying to wind you up. If you're in a play group and you're walking around, you know what I mean? You're messing around with the football, they'll come and take the football away from you.
Really?
The mentality was horrible, you know what I mean? They treat you like a slave.
But the whole point of you being in there is meant to be to try and help.
Very much, no. Them people, they're corrupted, they should be sacked.
Wow.
That's crazy. They
should be sacked, man. Trust me, it's horrible people.
Yeah. So you still think of that as probably one of the worst moments of your life?
Well, definitely the worst times of my life, you know what I mean? Definitely. Because I haven't hurt nobody. I never, after boxing, I didn't put my hands on it. I had to fight with anybody. I'm not a threat to anybody.
Yeah.
How did you pull yourself out of that, Frank?
I just trained and get myself together. I had to go see, not a psychologist, a shrink. To sit down and talk to them, and they would advise you to do this and to do that, and you get over it, you know.
Did it help?
It does help, you know what I mean? You're talking to someone, getting it off your plate. Sometimes you can't store everything. Like when your dad was there and your dad went, you can't store it up. You got to let it go.
I get it.
You know what I mean? Because it will drag you down and just make you old and grey.
Do you feel like you're at peace with it now then?
I'm not crazy with it, but I just go, when people knock at my door at night time and they've got ambulances and helicopters and all that, just because they want me to be sectioned. I'm not that sort of person to go and cause any war with anybody. You know what I mean? I wouldn't like them to come through my house when I'm in the house, which they try to do.
I know it put a strain on your family dynamic as well.
Yeah.
How long did that kind of take to repair?
It's repaired now, to be quite honest, but the kids, I've got good kids, to be quite honest. I'll give them a lot of hard, stressful times, you know what I mean, doing crazy things, but they know I love them, and you know what I mean, I know they love me as well, so they're not too bad, the kids. Yeah,
I reckon it's one of those things at the time you're frustrated and you're annoyed, but now maybe with hindsight you could see it was out of love and it was out of help.
It wasn't out of love, because when my daughter didn't come and see me, she refused to come and see me. My son refused to come and see me. It was only Nicola that came to see me, which is my first child, you know. She's a good girl, she's a day nurse and whatever. She knows what to do, you know.
You said there about them coming to see you and how it made them feel. Yeah. How did it make you feel, them coming to see you? Did you not want them to see you in that environment?
I didn't want them to see you in that thing, because when I split up from their mum, you know what I mean, it was like murder. It was horrible and saying certain different things, and it was painful for me, you know what I mean, to come through whatever. But I came through it, and I did understand why they were doing it, you know what I mean? It was advised to wind me up.
And you know what I always think's bad as well? It was quite intrusive at the time with like the media and stuff like that as well.
Heavy. It was very, very heavy. You know what I mean? Getting over your fence, taking pictures, helicopters up your house, around your house, and whatever. It was very, very embarrassing.
Yeah, it's a time, Frank, where you need your privacy for whatever you're going through. If you've got mental health problems you're going through, and, you know, family problems, that whole thing. And when you're getting intruded like that as well with people like that, that's an even harder thing to overcome.
I try to say to you that when I got sectioned, and after the section, there's left at the house that they gave me an injection and a bag full of drugs of, you know what I mean, sleepers and all them different things to live by myself. Every 2 weeks, he had to come and give me the injection, and I was in the same seat like this. I couldn't monitor myself. I couldn't get myself together because it was the powerful drugs that they were giving me. I was like a zombie. Yeah. And I said, I can't live a life like this. So I had to sell a house that had 75 acres in it. I had to, there was cottage, there were tractors here and there. It was just too much for me. Yeah, that's why I just left it and just went away and tried to pack up as much as I could and just start a new life.
I remember seeing you. I come to see you actually at Steve Purdue's place in Chelsea.
He was there.
I actually picked you up. I don't know if you remember this. 2005, I picked you up on the way to Ricky Hatton when he boxed Costas you. We went up there together. Yeah. We were doing something with Sky, and I know you probably won't remember this. You're going to me, mate, you got a nutty memory. Yeah. But I picked you up. We went up there. It was a night, and we were having a conversation going, Hatton's bitten off more than he can chew here. Yeah. Like, he's done too much here. And he went and turned him over that night. That was his big night, wasn't it, when he beat Costas you?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Obviously, really sad news shattered the boxing world recently about his passing. How much did that affect you, Frank?
It affects you a little bit because he's a sweet guy. He's a nice guy. He was the nicest guy. He's a very generous sort of like guy. And for him to do that, man, he must have been under some stress. And stress that you can't really see what goes through people's mind. Because he would have been the last one. A place in Tenerife, a Rolls Royce, he's got a nice house, got a gymnasium, he's got people around him that love him or whatever, but it weren't good enough.
Do you think boxing should have done more to help him? Everyone knew that he struggled with his mental health, even with, like, during his career, people knew. Yeah. And then post his career, people knew even more how much he was struggling. Do you think boxing should have done something more to help him?
Yeah, it would be nice to do, because George Francis said to me that you will not know until you finish from boxing that you may have a breakdown, you might not know how to handle it, you know? And like, everything he said came through.
Do you know what, Frank? It was a weird one, wasn't it? Because we knew that Ricky was going through his dark times, and you know, from when he finished boxing, and, you know, it was no secret, and he had mental health problems, and he got sectioned, and he come out, and he'd done all that sort of stuff, and it was at a time, and this is the weird thing that you don't know what happens behind closed doors, because it was at a time when we were all seeing Ricky, and he's doing after dinner things with you and whatnot, and you're looking around, you're going, he's coming through the other side. He actually looks like he's coming through the other side, and this is just proof that you never know what goes on behind closed doors, because definitely. It was at a time, Frank, when I think if he was ever going to do that, that would have been a few years ago.
I spoke to Ricky actually before, about a year ago, 6 months ago, about mental health and how he was feeling and stuff, and he made a good point about, in football, for example, you've got the PFA who look after the players and even, you know, post their career, they're always checking in, there's always a line for them if they need help.
The British Boxing Board of Control should have something like that. You know what I mean? Get together and think about all the millions, all the hundreds of whatever they made, to put some aside for a place, old people's home or whatever, just for the boxers. Yeah. They make so much money, the British Boxing Board of Control, but they don't give a shit about, sorry to swear in front of you, they don't give a monkeys about what happens to anybody. All they want is their money.
Well, it's like, you know, like boxers, it's like a conveyor belt, isn't it? One minute you're there and you're at the top of the tree, and you know what I mean? You're on the front row sitting next to the promoter because you're the man. Yeah. And then when your career's over, you end up in the second row, then the third row. Then you're going, do me a favour, mate, can you get me a ticket for the show? And that's the reality of sport that we're in, Frank, isn't it? It's like, it's that brutal because there's no like aftercare at all.
Fish.
And like,
the fish.
Yeah. And you
ring at Warren after you retire. What do you want?
Sorry, man, got no tickets. Yeah. But it's the reality is that, innit? And it's like you go from being the man to being the guy that can't get a ticket, and then you got this hole in your life because you're trying to find some sort of discipline. So there is no aftercare, and there should be aftercare. And like you say, like,
but the amount of money what they made, if you do what I'm saying, you know, the amount of money what they made the British Boxing Board Show, put a little bit aside for the boxers. Because you never know, some of them have died.
Even a boxing trust at the moment, they've said that they went to a British promoter and said, just add £1 from every ticket sale and we'll put that aside for boxers. They never even got a reply.
That's the charitable trust. That's the one that John's involved in, and you know, that they're trying to get a care home together, aren't they? Like, the ex-boxers.
They were trying to do that for a long time.
And that's what they wanted, £1.
Yeah. They tried to do that for a long time, and that's a good one. What is just £1? You know what I mean? So 30,000 people just pay £1 to help the boxers. That's a good idea to do.
I'm going to bring it back to the Eubank Benn kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Talking about Nigel Benn,
Yeah.
he was front row for your world title win.
Yeah, he was front row. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I'm glad he was there. You know what I mean? Because I was struggling a bit here and there, but he was coming, come on, Frank, do that. And he really get involved. So sometimes you can hear him and it makes you, you know what I mean, just want to go out there and do the job even more.
He was basically in the ring at some
Yeah,
point, wasn't he? He was literally in the ring, like
think-
screaming. The passion took over.
Yeah, Don King and, said some weird things to wind him up. So it did wind him up because he helped me a little bit, shouting, Frank, you go on, Frank, and whatever he was saying.
He got into the ring afterwards, and I think he lifted you up.
He lifted me up, but he did nearly 18 stone. You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, it was like your fourth attempt, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was like
true.
you going like you think, is it like, you know what I mean? As that day gone, you go back to like 86 when you box Witherspoon, and then you go 89, Mike Tyson won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then you go Lennox in 93, and then that one, you know, when you box Tyson again. You know what I mean? You just looks at it and just go, is that day ever going to come for you? And that was a magical moment for a British sport, that.
Yeah.
You know, for you to pick that WBC title up, man, was something
wicked,
else.
man. Yeah, thank you.
Something else.
A couple of years before that world title win, you got a letter from Muhammad Ali, didn't you?
I think I got a letter. You know what I mean? I'm dyslexic, so I think I got a letter from
I was about to ask you what did it say, but if you can't remember the letter, then
I can't remember the letter.
why do you think he sent it to you then?
I'm not too sure. Peter must have said to him that, you know what I mean, I'm going through a rough time, and I think he must have sent the letter to sort of cheer me up.
Yeah.
Frank, I saw where did I see it? I saw you went over to Mike Tyson's house, didn't you? Like you went and reunited with Mike Tyson.
His house is someone else's house.
Oh,
It made it look like it was Tyson's house.
Yeah, they said it was his house.
Like
I thought he's still doing it,
lions
right?
and tigers coming to his house.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Did you see any of them, by the way?
No, I didn't see it. It went in his house. It was at someone's house that made that it was Tyson.
The lions and tigers all right though? Yeah, but
I wouldn't go to his house that's got the lions and tigers.
No.
I wouldn't try. He had it. The meltdown. They were playing games with him. You know, him and the tigers.
yeah, wrestling and all that.
Yeah, crazy
yeah.
shit.
But what was that like going back and like reuniting with him? Obviously, you had that
It was
that
nice.
history together and all that.
Yeah, it was very nice because he's always placid and calm and whatever. So, but he was as good as gold. Donald Trump gave him, I think, 28 or 40 acres to grow the marijuana and whatever. He's happy. He's alive.
Well, he's doing well out of that.
Yeah,
Isn't
he's
he?
doing very, very well out of that. Seriously, he's doing very, very well. You know,
Is it decent stuff? That's what we need to know.
Amsterdam.
It's going to be sponsored by his
Right,
marijuana brand next
Well,
thing
yeah,
you know.
listen, that's right.
Yeah.
You also reunited with Lennox Lewis. We saw you guys sit down for that
You know what I
Kings.
mean, I don't think I'm just doing it for the, you know what I mean, the peace.
It looked a bit awkward, the conversation. How was it?
It does look very awkward. He was shouting off when he was out there. He was going, Frank, do you want a rematch in front of all the boxers was there? You know what I mean? For me to, he's not right in his head. He needs a slap.
What's your relationship with him like now?
It's not. I don't really like him. I don't really dig for him. I don't really check because he's just a snake.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Why is he a snake?
He's just a snake. You know what I mean? He's horrible calling someone like Uncle Tom and all them different things. He's a snake.
Did you never let that go? Did you that
I
build
would
up
never
there?
let that go, man, because he's a grown-up man. He's not like a child, is he?
I watched that fight today because I was watching back. Do you know what? I had a little bit of a Frank Bruno day.
Yeah.
That's why I'm reading off all the dates and the names and all that. Because I thought, I'm gonna go and relive the career.
All right.
You forget, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass because you're sitting there. You forget how tough you were and how tough them fights were.
Yeah.
When you boxed Witherspoon, that was like toe to toe for like 10 rounds.
Yeah.
And when you boxed Lennox, you had your moments in there. Like up until that stoppage, there was nothing in the fight.
Right, yeah.
Like you wobbled him, I think, in the second round. He was doing the old Elvis dance and all that. And you had all that. But what I'm saying is, in all those fights and the fights even that you lost, they were wars, man. And I forgot, like you forget it.
Yeah.
You forget it.
T. Witherspoon was, I think one of the best guys that I fought. He was very, very dangerous, very, very cocky, and he could fight.
Yeah. That was a tough fight, man. Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
That was mad.
Jump on the wife tonight when I went back home. I saw. Sorry to be rude.
Well used to it. I hang around in the boxing circle.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was stiff, man. I couldn't get my leg.
Oh, that was tough, mate.
Yeah.
So, what was your toughest fight, by the way? Like, who did you see as your toughest opponent?
I think Witherspoon, you know what I mean? I went in there with one head and I come out with two heads, you know what I mean? Because he battered me. He was a good heavyweight. A lot of them were scared of him, you know what I mean, to be honest. But yeah, he's a good fighter. Very, very good fighter. He's desperate to come over here and do something.
Yeah, I actually speak to him a little bit as well. Yeah, because we work together a little bit and all that. And I've got a lot of time for him.
Yeah,
it's quite sad now, actually. You think former world champion ain't really got anything anymore and all that. And he should be recognised in today's world. He was a great champion.
Oh, yeah, better champion than a lot of people give him credit for.
Yeah.
Even Larry Holmes, give him a run for his money. 15 round days, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
World champion was always something that you had to tick off before you called it time in your career. I remember your brother wrote on the kitchen wall.
Oh, yeah, definitely wrote on the kitchen wall that would be it, but it was 10 years out. We got this, but yeah, the dream did come true. You know, I didn't think it would ever come through, to be quite honest, because Witherspoon and, you know what I mean, all them people, they're very dangerous guys, you know?
Yeah, you had a detached retina from, obviously, the Mike Tyson fight. Your kids have kind of said that there's a slow decline on the brain and because of everything that you go through in boxing. Is it all worth it for that world title?
I think it's all worth it, to be honest. We are boxers, we are warriors, man, and we're very determined people. We don't take no nonsense and whatever, and I think it's well worth it.
Look, we've done so much reminiscing about the old times. I'm going to throw it forward now to what's going on currently. AJ is the talk of the town at the moment because apparently he's teaming up with Alexander Usyk's team. So he's lost to Alexander Usyk and he's now joining their team to kind of reinvent himself, I guess. Do you think he's too old to be reinventing himself?
I don't really know, you know what I mean? If someone offered him 10, 20,000, I don't think he could be as old as he wants to be. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's not too old, but I think he's a little bit confused. Teletubby beat him. He's lost what's the guy the guy that he's going to train with?
Alexander Usyk.
He's lost to him, so him going in his gym now, him being seconds, wasn't he? You know, Alexander torture him. He's a good fighter, Alexander. He's a latest style, and I think he could beat everyone that was around him at the moment.
So that last defeat that AJ had against Daniel Dubois at Wembley Stadium, ironically, where you win your world title. But yeah, that last defeat against him, that was a crushing defeat, and I think that a lot of people, I know AJ well as well, but a lot of people are, saying that it's more a psychological thing as opposed to a physical thing. How does he overcome a crushing defeat like that, Frank, at this stage of his career? Is it a mental thing, do you think?
I think it's a mental thing because, you know what I mean, it's deep, isn't it? And then I remember when he lost a couple of times and he was arguing with the back, he had the belts.
Yeah, that was with Usyk. Yeah.
And he acting like a little child, wasn't he?
But you mentioned there about Usyk and said that he could beat kind of everyone in the division at the moment.
At the moment,
How do you think he compares to your era of heavyweights?
I think it was different cup of tea, different class. You had some guys from New York, you had some guys from America, you had some guys from all over the world at that time, and it was, you know what I mean, it was one belt, and they made it into 3 belts or whatever. But yeah, it was a tough time. To come into our era, I don't think so. Don't really. Huh?
How did you think you would fare in today's era yourself?
Who, me?
In today's era. Do you think that you would win a world title in today's?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You say that like you think it would be quite easy now.
I'm not saying it'd be easy. Anybody you go in, it won't be easy. You know what I mean? But you ask me a question, and I answer the question, they put no VAT on top of it.
Do you know what, Frank? People actually forget, and like I say to you, like I said, when I knew we was doing this, I thought I'm going to go back, and you're looking on YouTube and you're watching all them fights that I reeled off from when you lost to James Bowcross in '84 right through to winning a world title 10 years later. And you look at the fights in between that and you go, he was a bad dude. Like, when you look at what's around today and you go, people forget Frank Bruno's jab was like, I just remember him throwing 1, but actually he threw 2 and 3 and 4, and I don't remember them ones, and the big right hands and that. But you do forget, and you go, when people always compare eras and all that.
It's hard to do. Yeah.
It's very hard to do, but when you look back on the fights and you go, yeah, I'm not betting against Frank there. Like he was a tough dude.
Look, one of the fights everyone's talking about at the moment, and they really want to see British dust up between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Yeah. Should it happen? And who do you think would win that?
I think it should happen, and I'm not too sure what awaits Tyson or Anthony Joshua's going to come out. I like Anthony Joshua, and I would like him to win against Tyson Fury, but Tyson Fury is one slippery dude. And when I mean slippery, He's a very, very clever boxer, more than people give him credit for. He can box, he can fight. Look at him and Dylan White. He had 3 fights, didn't they? And he won all 3 of them. And Dylan White was supposed to be one of the hottest heavyweights out there. Could punch like a mule, and whatever.
Oh, Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder.
Yeah. He's not a guy to be messing around, but Tyson schooled him 3 times.
Do you think, though, because Tyson's been out the ring now, do you think that would limit his ability to
as long as he gets someone to keep his weight down, because keeps his weight around his belly. He's got chicken legs. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean, he's a good fighter.
You know, you get them old school like breeds. You know, when you're talking about some fighters need warm-up fights, and some fighters are like that. Their mentality is like that. I want to warm-up fight before going to a big fight. Fury is cut from that cloth, innit? He could be out of the ring for 4 years and want to go straight into a title fight and deliver.
He's got the style, man. And people don't... I don't know, people take the mickey out of gypsy people, but they know better than we are what they are, you know what I mean? But yeah, I like the way he drops it, you know what I mean? Tyson is funny.
Talking of warm-up fights, people are talking about Anthony Joshua and what he's going to do next. And there's kind of rumours going around about who he might fight, where he might fight, on an undercard, stuff like that. People are kind of saying that they think that he's going to go in with what they're describing as a bum. And I don't think that should be used in boxing, but that's what they're describing it as. Do you think he's earned the right to kind of just pick and choose who he wants to fight and have a fight like that before a big one?
A lot of people's made a lot of money out of Anthony Joshua. You know, they came down, he's won the championships, and I think he deserves. He's the main one that puts the seats on the bum, or bums on the seats, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, he needs respect.
Yeah. Look, another person that is really kind of at the forefront of British boxing is Moses Itauma, 20 years old. Yeah. He's been knocking people out left, right, and centre. You obviously, when you fought professionally, you know, you had your debut and then you went on a run of like 21 stoppages. You know, it's crazy. There's a slight tendency with some boxers, though, to be rushed. How important do you think it is for him to kind of take his time
I think it's important to take his time. Frank Warren's got so many heavyweights, he can pick and choose what he wants to pick and choose. But he's a businessman, Frank Warren. Yeah, he's Nwana, whatever his name is his main man at the moment. But he's got so many heavyweights, he's got so many fighters here and there. He doesn't know what to do. He knows what to do, but he's a funny old man, Frank. You know what I mean? He's a man of his words, so I've got to respect him for that. But I think he should be the promoter. People comparing Moses to a young Mike Tyson because of the way that he's going through these opponents and the way that they're stepping him up. Now, you know a young Mike Tyson because actually you was in the ring. So 18. So you're the best one to probably to reference whether is he that guy? Is he like Tyson? No, he's Moses. Like they compare him to a young Mike Tyson, but you know what young Mike Tyson was like. How do you compare Moses to Tyson? He's a dangerous guy. Moses is very, very good. He's young, he's fresh and whatever, but when you look at Tyson at 21, he won the belt. I think 20. 20, he won the belt. Yeah. That proves it to itself, doesn't he? He got caught up with some wrong sort of like people. You so-and-so. He got caught up with some wrong... you that microphone.
It's getting a bit too close.
Lower. Yeah. Oh, God, sorry.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look, well, given that the microphone is just not playing ball, I think we wrap it there. It's been an unbelievable conversation.
No problem,
thank you so much.
So Frank Bruno drops the mic and that's it.
Yeah, literally.
It's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much.
Nice one, thank you.